Hi, I'm Sanjay Soni and I'm a BI technology evangelist at Microsoft, and I promote our platforms across enterprise and facilitate their adoption internally and then showcase our solutions for external customers. With me, I have Pablo. Pablo, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Pablo Trejo and I'm a software development engineer with Microsoft IT, and I oversee the development of the EDW Scorecard platform. Thank you for joining us.
All right, so today we are going to talk about scorecard platforms at Microsoft. So for a minute, imagine a world where IT can create a generic scorecarding platform and a KPI catalog for each lines of businesses with consistent definitions. And business, on the other hand, is allowed to add, modify KPIs, metrics definitions, and calculations, and make it available to employees around the world in seconds. All that without IT involvement. So at Microsoft, the good news is this is not about imagination anymore. We do have a scorecarding solution which has been in production for about 4 years, and we have hundreds of KPIs being used by thousands of users, including Office of the CIO. Today, we'll show you live demos of scorecards and dashboards using your familiar products, Excel services, Performance Point, SQL Server Reporting Services 2000 R2, and other Microsoft BI products. We'll share technical details and best practices on how Microsoft IT has created a solution to consolidate various scorecards and KPIs into KPI catalogs for various lines of businesses. We'll show you how Microsoft IT and specifically Office of the CIO is managing and delivering scorecards to the masses at Microsoft. Another nice thing, everything that you see today is based on Microsoft BI products that are available to you. So, traditionally, in most of the companies, IT is busy keeping up with growing demand for BI from business. IT is busy acquiring data, cleansing, integrating, and then provisioning reports, dashboards to meet business demand, right? And that takes time. Welcome to the modern world. Business is outspacing IT, and end users are demanding agility. IT needs to break down the barriers of control with self-service BI. So Pablo, is it really possible to balance control from IT with agility for business?
Well, the key is for IT to provision data and create a self-service BI platform that are secure and reliable. Mm-hmm. Once you have a platform such as this, it's a business user is able to have complete control of their KPIs and metrics, and they can make changes very efficiently and in line with their business cadence without having to wait for an engineer to make a simple business rule change.
Great. So since the scorecard platform we show you today uses 100% Microsoft BI products, I want to give you a quick recap of those MSBI products that you are already familiar with. So let's start from top. Microsoft Office 2010. So it helps enable a familiar business user experience and enables data explorations, contextual visualizations. Of course, I'm talking about tools like Excel 2010. So to deliver BI to the masses, you can talk about the next layer. You can use business collaboration platform of SharePoint 2010 using dashboards, scorecards, Power Pivot, BI search, etc. Performance Point dashboards that we show you today are part of SharePoint 2010. To have a robust platform, let's take a look at the last piece here. Of course, you can use SQL Server 2000 R2, and as part of that, use analysis services for cubes, my favorite product for so many years, reporting services for reporting needs, and of course, SQL Server for all of your BI needs. Now, we're going to show you some demos today using some of these tools. Now, let's start with the Microsoft IT story related to scorecards. So business challenge was how to enable business power users, not IT, to create and manage their own KPIs and scorecards. Basically, how can you enable KPI catalog for various lines of business applications and create a self-service BI environment? So I always start a story with once upon a time. So once upon a time at Microsoft, scorecards were everywhere. There were no central location for all KPIs, and the definitions were inconsistent. Individual IT departments created the scorecards. Managing scorecard process rhythm became time consuming, and customers at the end of the day needed agile scorecards delivered with multiple visualization tools, as for example Excel, reporting services, Performance Point. So Pablo, to solve this problem, can you please tell us what did we do?
Well, after a couple of years of engineers staying late, making all the changes business users requested, we came up with an idea to create a system that would allow them to make those changes with no engineering intervention whatsoever. To achieve this, we created a SQL Server-based metadata engine that encapsulates all the business rules and allows changes without requiring any code modification. This was a big change from the past, where a simple change for a KPI definition would prompt for a rewrite in a store procedure. Here's the overall architecture. We load data from a number of different sources like enterprise data and flat files. Then business users use the admin module to define the KPIs and their metrics, which then get populated into an analysis services cube. This cube has been designed specifically for scorecard usage, and it makes it a very high-performing cube. All the access logic is also encapsulated on the cube, which means that if you come from any frontend that has all the capabilities, you can consume our data. Currently, our UI offerings include SharePoint 2010, Excel services, SQL Server reporting services, and Silverlight. After implementing this system, the productivity and efficiency of our business partners increased exponentially, and at the same time, it freed up engineering team, which resulted in even more features being added to the system. Sanjay is going to show you a demo of these front-end tools using data from the metadata-based Scorecard platform.
Great. Thanks, Pablo. And so let's get started with the demo. So let's talk about various UI options for Scorecard. So as Pablo is going to show you in a demo, the backend piece, the cube and the SQL Server. Once you have the metadata in the right place, you can use any kinds of UI tools. Here's one of them, Pivot Viewer from Office Labs, Live Labs team. And let's say this is a prototype from Office of the CIO and collaboration with IT, BI team here. If CIO has 5 people reporting to him or her, let's say. By the way, the data is masked, so you're not seeing the real KPIs, real people in that Office of the CIO. But let's say there are people in the Office of the CIO and there are 5, 6 people, and you're looking at green, yellow, red things. So what are those things? Pablo, can you guess what are those things? Green, yellow, red things?
So that's your result of a KPI
Yes.
for a certain person, right?
Absolutely. So KPIs, you're looking at KPIs. So if you just simply move your mouse, you can simply find out, okay, let's see, demand management is one KPI, stay current could be another KPI assigned to this person or that person, and you can see that good stuff. On the left-hand side, what you see are more like dimensions of the cube, right? So pillar dimension, owner dimension, all this good stuff. All right, so if I want to sort this data by owners, let's click here, switch to graph view. You can very well see that this data has been now arranged by various owners. So Jeff has some KPIs, right here. Some are yellow, some are red, some are green. You can very quickly see. Let's say I really want to focus only on Jeff, or so I click on Jeff. Now what will happen is rest of them go away, and now you can focus only on Jeff. How are the various KPIs? What is the status of various KPIs that are assigned to Jeff? So you're looking at this, and now let's say I want to sort this data by period. Over time, what happened, for Jeff? You can very clearly see, okay, what's happening as a trend from July to January. Over time, is the particular KPI is improving for that person or not? You can find out status. And let's say you literally want to focus only on one particular KPI in September. Here, what's happening? You click on this, and now you see more traditional, the whole metadata we were talking about, metadata for the KPI that can be displayed here. And if you are literally interested in more details behind the scenes, you click on this, and now it takes you to a more traditional dashboard, if you would, that you can create using Performance Point, 2010, reporting services, 2002, or any kinds of those tools. For example, take a look here. Here's some KPI is red. Once you click on this KPI, which is scorecard on the left-hand side, is the whole dashboard you're seeing using SharePoint 2010 right here. And you can find out more information, the whole metadata behind the scenes. But also, you could obviously go inside any of these pie chart pieces, and you can find out what's actually happening. And you can scroll down. As you can see here, this is reporting services 2008 R2. So at the end of the day, you can use all kinds of BI tools and literally display this information for people. This was one example. Now, if you can you guess for me the number one most used BI tool for scorecarding at Microsoft? It actually is Excel. So here's an example of Excel services right here. You're looking at this level 0, level 1, level 2 scorecard, especially for Microsoft IT, Office of the CIO. And of course, as you can imagine, we have masked the data. So you take a look at this. Right here is a KPI, let's say customer engagement revenue, level 0. Right, level 1, level 2, of course, it goes all the way up to level 0. Right here, this engagement revenue KPI, something is yellow. Our actual is 1,000, target is 2,000, and it's yellow. Fine. But the point is, in all this scenario, the most important thing is also the metadata. So you click on the metadata right here, and here you can see very clearly, okay, what is this KPI about? This information is coming from the SQL Server database, and right here is the more metadata about this whole KPI. It's coming from the analysis services cube behind the scenes. That was one example of the KPI. Okay, you have definitions, but then it's also about more details about the KPI. So you can scroll to the right here, and basically you can find out more of like a heat map. For this KPI, customer engagement revenue, you can find out how are various organizations doing within that high level. If you click on this KPI thresholds, now you see more details, and you can see more detailed charts, for example, trend chart. You really want to find out, okay, how is this KPI doing over time, what's happening behind the scenes, right? So that was a trend chart. If you would, when you click on this, you'll be able to see more of a details, over time. How is this KPI trending? What's happening here? So it's session timed out. Of course, I can just refresh the page, and now it's refreshing the cube and everything, the whole data in the screen, and I can simply click on a KPI threshold, and we'll find out. So right, let's just do that one more time. We're looking at this KPI here, and I can do KPI thresholds. And I can see the trend chart. Here we go. So I can see how's the overall trend over time from July to October, what's happening here. And then of course you can see much more details behind the scenes of, okay, what kind of org chart, how is the organizations within the top level of level 0, for example, BI engineering versus EXT or other DMO organization, how is the breakup of the KPI, over time. And of course, there's a capability for data entry, so your business people can actually enter the data here. And the last piece is really literally this commentaries. So we have the concept of KPI commentaries, so people can actually add commentaries and they can have golden level commentaries. That's pretty much it. And now I would like to request Pablo to show you the back-end piece of the KPI admin tool. What are some of those admin tools that we have provided to business people for them to be able to add KPIs, modify KPIs, and manage and change management? Pablo, please go ahead.
We talked earlier about the ability for business users to make changes without engineering. Allow me to demonstrate that with a very simple scenario. We talked earlier about how the value for a scorecard platform is really the ability for business users to do their own changes without having to wait for IT to make the code change to make it happen. So what I'm going to show you here is how business users can correct a mistake on their scorecard. So let's take the customer revenue KPI, for example. If you see right now, you can see that the value for that KPI is $1,500 for the revenue, and that's putting the KPI on a yellow status, right? But let's say that the business user just found out that this is not because the data is wrong, it's just because the calculation that they applied was wrong. So what he's going to go and do now, is going to go into the metadata management tool, which is our admin tool that we talked about earlier. So he can go into the KPI admin tool. I'm going to do a quick search for that KPI, which was customer engagement revenue. I'm going to do a quick search. This is the KPI. I can go into the KPI definition, and I can see that the calculation that's being used is called actual month to date, or actual MTD. So I'm going to close this, and now I'm going to go into my custom calc admin. This is the library of calculations that they use to apply some logic to their numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and look for that calculation, which was actual MTD. Click search. This is the calculation. Click on it, and I'm going to say edit. For the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to say that the correction that we need to apply is just adding $1,000 to the calculation. This would obviously not fly on a real scorecard scenario, but let's bear with me for now. I'm going to click save. And now, in the real platform, there are SQL jobs that are scheduled that take these changes that the user makes and puts them on all the way into the cube. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to go ahead and run them manually. So now that the changes are propagated in the system after the jobs have run, I can come back here and just say refresh the connection on my scorecard. Click the wrong one. Once it loads, we're going to see that the number is going to change based on the calculation that we applied, and now we took it on a green status now. Like you see, this is a very fast change that before it took for an engineer to go open a store procedure and change it. Right now, it's a simple matter of going into an admin UI, making a few clicks, and changing the data.
Pablo, that was awesome and agile. Business did not have to wait for IT to do something for them. So let's shift gears and let's talk about different incarnations of this platform have been in production basically for more than 4 years at Microsoft. So we have a lot of customers who deliver scorecards at Microsoft, but one of our primary customers is Office of the CIO. That basically runs the MSIT organization, right? So I showed some of the demos from Office of the CIO scorecards earlier to you.
But can you give us some examples of how the CIO scorecards are organized?
Oh yeah, let's talk about this. So there could be several levels of scorecards starting at L0 for the CIO, going down to L1 for the vice presidents, and then L2 for the GMs and so forth. So basically the top level L0 scorecards contain a lot of strategic KPIs, which are then cascaded down to the lower organizations. Along with the cascaded KPIs, there may be additional metrics, that are defined within each of these organizations. Also, there are KPIs that are shared across organizations that have shared commitments. In such a complex scenario of cascading and shared KPIs, management of the KPIs become very important. So Pablo, as you can imagine, if this was done, manually, a lot of people would need to invest significant amount of time to ensure consistent KPI definitions and their management, right? So in reality, a lot of this was being done via emails in the past. And now with the admin tool that Pablo showed you and change management tools of the scorecard platform, a lot of this churn is reduced and automated to bring agility into the scorecard management process.
Now, can you tell us a little bit about the process of creating the metrics for the scorecard?
Absolutely. Let's talk about this. The various pillars under which the organization performance is tracked within MSIT consist of win, grow, drive, innovation, etc. And at Microsoft, being a strategy-driven company, we do track our scorecards against these strategies as well. It all starts at the top by defining high-level business strategies. For example, to win customers, to align this strategy to commitments, let's choose number of IT engagements could be the commitment, right? So we set performance targets for these commitments, and next we define the detailed calculations for the metrics to measure the progress. Then we codify the target and operational definitions at the metadata layer that Pablo showed you earlier. And finally, we define the presentation or reporting options to show the performance scorecards to the end users. This entire business process usually happens on an annual basis, and it may be reviewed and revised during mid-year reviews. So let me summarize this. IT's goal should be to create scorecard platform and enable business to manage their KPIs, scorecards through metadata-based self-service BI approach. And here is some additional resources for you. If you are interested in further reading on this topic, that slide has links for other related videos and articles as well. Thank you for joining us today. We hope this information has been useful to you. And if you would like us to demo our IT BI platforms and solutions to your teams, please contact your Microsoft account team members. I would like to thank Pablo, who showcased this platform with me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope this was very useful for you.
So thank you very much. Remember, it's all about your potential, our passion. See you next time.